So dear all, welcome for our IRMA event this evening. We're just going to give it 1 or 2 minutes just for the rest of the people to join us for today's event. So just please bear with us for a little bit. Thank you. So I think that we have all the attendees for today's loaded. Maybe there will be a few people coming later, but anyway, wanted to welcome you for today's event. We have Emin Kaliskan, who will be presenting us with 5 steps to creating a positive influence in your InfoSec career. So welcome, Emin. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure, Suzanne. It's great to be here.
Thank you, thank you. And before we start, I just wanted to do a few bit of the housekeeping, as we call it. So if you have any questions during the presentation, please do use the Q&A or question section of the webinar. We will be reading all the questions in the end. We agreed with Amin that I'm not going to be disturbing him in the presentation, so it will be his monologue for a little bit, but I will be administrating some of the questions on the side. And once his presentation finishes, then we will be asking the questions. And if you guys also want to talk with Emin after, I will enable your microphone and you can discuss with him directly. So that's all after the presentation. And before we kick off, I just wanted to say that we will be having another event with the IRMA on the 12th of October, 13th of October. And please check your mailbox. We will be sending the invite again. So thank you all, everybody coming. And now it's all over you, Emin. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Hello, everyone. This is Emin, and it's my kind of pleasure to be able to deliver this presentation. We've been kind of exchanging emails, kind of preparing this for quite a while, but pandemic, COVID-19, unfortunately, affected the delivery date of this. But it's great to be here. And why don't we just get started? Because probably you've been on some webinars, like there's a lot of preamble, games and quizzes before we get started. But I'm like, hey, let's just get to it. Let's just get to the good stuff. So first of all, before everything, who this is for. I think this is really important because at the end of today, thanks for taking this time in this beautiful evening. But let's just get started with who this is for, just to set the expectations right. This is for professionals who want to create a positive influence and land better roles, better jobs, better opportunities in their InfoSec career. And for example, if you are an information security analyst, cybersecurity analyst, IT auditor, risk manager, cybersecurity manager, penetration tester, or maybe you want to become one. That's another thing. Maybe you want to become one of those, you want to have one of those roles, one of those opportunities. That means you are in the right place because that's exactly what we are going to cover today. So if this is you, you are in the right place. And a couple of questions like, do you want to upgrade your InfoSec career? Obviously, we will talk about the details of this, like what do we mean by this? But essentially, if you're looking for better opportunities and achieve impactful results on your career, that means in the next 45 minutes or so, we are going to cover exactly that, and hopefully you will love the results as well. And we will talk about easy to implement ideas, like how can you, for example, turn this 45 to 60 minutes into a very kind of rewarding result for you and for your career. So that's the name of the game. But what are we going to talk about in like detail? So in the next 45 minutes, we'll talk about the 5 shifts that you can make today to upgrade your InfoSec career to the next level. If you're like, hey, let's just use the cybersecurity because that's like a buzzword nowadays, that's also fine. I will use those terms interchangeably. I know some people don't prefer that, and I know that there are like differences between them, but let it be. Another question that we will cover, is COVID-19 a threat or an opportunity for you and for your InfoSec career? And the role of effective communications to deliver your message, and what is your message? We'll also talk about that. And we'll also talk about a couple of interview secrets. So especially if you're looking for your next job, next role, maybe you're a contractor, you attend many interviews, or maybe you're just, trying to find the next role, but seems like it's not working for you. That means you will get impactful insights as well. And switching to InfoSec careers from different backgrounds. These are the kind of topics today. And we will not talk about like a technical subject. We will not discuss like the details of cybersecurity. So it's not a technical presentation. Rather, it's for your career and it's for how to get better results with the skills you already have. So that's the name of the game. So before we go into the details, a couple of questions. Does this sound like you? Do you find yourself thinking about your InfoSec career while trying to figure out what you should do next, especially in this current situation, current climate with the pandemic? The world is like upside down. 2020 has been a kind of challenging year for everybody. So do you find yourself thinking about your career future? Are you worried of what's happening in the world right now? And do you want to keep growing in your career? Do you want to take the next and better opportunities, but not sure if it's still possible? Or maybe you are feeling like, maybe I should not move right now. Maybe I should not take any risky action. I just kind of do what I've been always doing, etc. And do you look around and see other people who are maybe less qualified, or maybe you think so, or maybe less skilled than you are, but it seems like they are getting better opportunities. It seems like they are getting better results than you when you compare to that problem. So if any of that sounds like you, and if you're looking for the next distinction, next kind of mindset shift, but it's not working for you, the real problem is not the kind of technical skills, not the kind of what you know, what you don't know, what the certifications you have or don't have. The real problem is what I call the shifts. And we are going to talk about those shifts as promised in this webinar in the next 45 minutes or so. But for right now, just know this. Once you make them, once you make these shifts, you will have a complete control over your career. For example, the company you choose to work at, the opportunity that you want to get, the salary that you deserve, the daily rates that you want to have, and to gain better opportunities that you have always wanted. Maybe nowadays you want to work from home, but it's like maybe it's not possible for you. Maybe you're looking for flexible opportunities, flexible hours. Maybe you want to work for a company in a different location, even in a different country. Whatever that might be, you will find that it's way easier when you follow the five shifts, 5 steps that we will cover today. And you will find yourself climbing up the ladder of success much faster and easier than ever before. And you can transform your job into a rewarding InfoSec career, turn your day-to-day task, day-to-day roles, and whatever that you're doing into hobby, because we will originate your hobbies and your desires, then kind of your wants, and we'll turn them into your career. And you will be confident to hit your desired income goals, career goals. Obviously, it's not easy. Obviously, that's like a bold promise. But if you follow these steps, these simple 5 steps, then it's entirely possible. So before we kind of go into the details, let me take a second with you. Who we are, who I am. My name is Emin Kaliskan. I'm a founder of Felt Secure, which is a cybersecurity training and career mentoring organization company. We are based in North London. We are still a startup. We have 8 employees, and we specialize in helping IT professionals, cybersecurity professionals upgrade their careers, upgrade their cybersecurity careers so that they can enjoy what they do, and they'll just have a happy cybersecurity career. And we do this in like 2 steps. First of all, we provide training, skills, and job experience to our partners. And if you already have the cybersecurity skills and partners and background, then you are looking for the next opportunity, we also provide mentoring services. So this is me, this is who we are. And now let's continue our presentation with the first shift. And it is called Get Clear on the Outcome. Get clear on your outcome. So what do we mean by this? Outcome clarification is like this. What do you want to achieve in your InfoSec career? That's the very first question that we all need to ask ourselves. Maybe you are an IT auditor. Maybe you are a risk manager. Maybe you're an InfoSec or cybersecurity manager, consultant, penetration tester, vulnerability analyst manager. It really doesn't matter, but what is the outcome that you are trying to get out of your career. And why is that important to you? And we will give you examples, because at some point you might find yourself like, hey, I just want to make more money. Some people are motivated like this. But the problem is that's not an outcome. Believe it or not, making more money is not an outcome. The outcome is what are you going to get when you have that money, if that's like the financial motivation. And sometimes people want to obviously have better opportunities in different companies, different fast-growing companies. And sometimes they say, hey, I just want to have you know, an exciting role in a fintech organization, especially in London. It's really popular, as you know. But the thing is, why do you want this? So what is going to happen when you have that job, when you have that role? Oh, okay, you will create impact. Maybe you will be a part of the next startup, which potentially change the world. Does it make sense? So outcome clarification is something like this. Why is that important to you? And that is realistic for you, achievable. So it's something like, I want to become a CISO, like Chief Information Security Officer. Okay, that's cool. But if you just have like 2 years of experience, and if you're just getting started, but if you're very young, if you don't have a lot of experience, maybe it's not that realistic right now. Maybe the timing is not right. Is it achievable? Yes, maybe in like 10-year projection, 15-year projection. So those are the kind of clarifications that we need to have. And most importantly, and we see this a lot. I mean, I talk to a lot of people from all around the world, like maybe I talk to more than 20, 30 different countries, different people from those countries, and they're all interested in InfoSec careers. They're looking for their next kind of opportunity, but many times they don't have the resources. And it's like resources have a couple of elements in it. It's like, for example, do you have the time? Do you have the energy? And do you have the investment? Do you have the money to make that change? No matter what you're trying to accomplish in this career option, this question is really key, because even if, let's say, you're really interested in ethical hacking, you really want to do this, you really want to become a penetration tester. But if you're coming from a total different background, if you don't have the essential IT skills, and if you're really busy, I mean, if you have lots of other responsibilities, then how can you find the time to do it? How can you create a new career out of this? So that's why when it comes to outcome clarification, we need to answer these questions honestly. And the most important one is this: are you committed? Because let me tell you, as you probably know already, there will be challenges. You'll get punched on your face when you want to do something different, extraordinary, when you want to switch careers. Maybe you're looking for your next title, maybe you're looking for an upgrade, maybe a bonus, maybe you want to become a director, manager. It is hard. So it's a kind of test of commitment, really. So that's why it's really important to identify whether you are committed or not. So maybe you're wondering, okay, that's cool, but what is an outcome? Like maybe you want to get the specifics of an outcome. The outcome you want is the cornerstone of everything in your InfoSec career, or maybe in your career, okay, in your entire career. And there are kind of a couple of things that you need to take into account when it comes to setting your outcome. It needs to be specific, it needs to be amazing, it needs to be measurable, and at the end of the day, it needs to be an outcome, not something on the way to an outcome, okay? So what do I mean by this? Let me just give you an example, just to make it kind of clear. For example, I want to start working as a penetration tester outside IR35. For those of you in the UK, that's a big thing nowadays, because there are like, you know, policy changes. So it's just a kind of a scheme that you can work under. It's more kind of favorable for tax purposes. And want to make £700 a day working from home so that you can avoid getting infected with COVID-19, so that I can complete my daily tasks by 5 p.m. and then take my kids to the playground at 5:30, or maybe take my spouse to, I don't know, the cinema or something, okay? Maybe I'll just play a video game or whatever. Many times, when you want to set an outcome for your career, it starts after this so that part, okay? So for example, you want to, for example, become a risk manager, a director of a very important, let's say, a company, one of the big 4 companies, let's say consultancy companies, in one of the departments. So that's what you want. But if you if you finalize the sentence with so that, then the real outcome starts. So that I can complete my daily task, so that I can have total financial freedom, so that I can spend more time with my kids and I can see them grow, so that I'll be, I'll have a very happy, I don't know, a family relationship with my wife. So these are the things which are outcome. All the rest, like for example, get started in a certain role, company, start making good money, those are many times ideas, steps, milestones to the way to an outcome. Okay, so that's a very important and key distinction that we need to keep in mind. Okay, quick tip. We will answer those questions like in this format between shifts. So quick tip, is COVID-19 a threat or an opportunity for your InfoSec career? So what do you think about this? I'm not sure if I can see the questions right now, but you can type in the box, what do you think about this? And then I will get back to you, but just to see that you are here and listening to the webinar, I think that's a good practice. You can just leave your comments. So what do you think about this COVID-19? Do you think that's a threat for you, or maybe an opportunity? Because, at the end of the day, you're a cybersecurity professional, and, as you can probably notice, there are lots of opportunities. So what do you think about this? You can leave your comment and I'll get back to it. But let me just give you a couple of numbers, really. This is from LinkedIn Jobs. There were almost more than 250,000 open cybersecurity related positions in April this year, but almost 350,000 opportunities in June in LinkedIn Jobs. Obviously, this tells a lot to us. Yes, I mean, when you watch the news, you might see everybody's kind of losing their opportunities, losing their jobs financially. Unfortunately, many people are in trouble. That's really sad, and that's the reality. We cannot fight with the reality, yes. But when we flip the coin, when we look at what's happening in IT, cybersecurity, software services, well, according to these numbers, it's like the same, and it's been growing, as you can see on the numbers. It's growing, and it makes a lot of sense because now, as we can see, more and more companies, more and more businesses, they're looking for ways to switch to IT, switch to online services. Just like think about Zoom. I mean, just a couple of months ago, because of the high demand, Zoom expanded the company, the software company, expanded its operations because of the massive demand, especially in cybersecurity, because there were lots of privacy-related issues, whether the kind of meetings are secure or whatnot. So at the end of the day, there are always opportunities if you know the next steps for you, if you know that, hey, this is my opportunity. When I look around, I need to make a move. I need to take action. I need to do something different. And then you just do it. So that's why if you're feeling like, hey, the world has come to an end, we don't have a lot of opportunities right now, whatever, according to these statistical results, scientific data, that's not the case for InfoSec professionals, cybersecurity professionals, and everything. So I just noticed a couple of answers. Thanks, Olivia, Georgie, Danny. There's just, yes, these are just opportunities, and Fatma as well, advantage for sure. Okay, so that was the first shift. That was the first step. Why don't we go ahead? Why don't we take a look at the second shift that we can discuss? And the second one is actually a question for you. What's the problem you are solving right now? What's the problem? Okay, so now we have identified the outcome that we want to generate. Now let's take a look at the problem that we want to solve so that we can get the outcome. Okay, so how do we identify the problem? It has a couple of steps. Talking about how you work, how you do your thing, how you do your magic is not as the same as an outcome. Okay, that's different. So let me just give you an example to make it kind of clear for you. For example, you might say, I'm an IT auditor. Yeah, that's good. I do IT, cyber, InfoSec audits, network audits, lots of governance, ISO 27001, all sorts, different for different regulations, policies. I do audits. It's not an outcome. It's how you work. Okay, it's not outcome focused thing. But in reality, you need to think about the problem, the solution, and who you help. So it's like the problem, the solution, and how you help, okay? And who you help. The how starts after that. So let me give you a syntax so that it will be clearer for you. I help group of people, business, industry, your target audience, let's say, solve or achieve or accomplish this result, this problem, solve this problem or achieve this result or get to this specific point so that the biggest benefits, okay? Please pay special attention to so that, because we see this again, because that's really important, and it's really easy to construct your sentences this way when it comes to creating an influence in your InfoSec career. So let me just give you another example. I help fintech startup companies fix their IT security issues so that they can focus on growing their business without thinking about InfoSec risks. Okay, so this is like a syntax. This is like an example. And when you notice on certain elements, the first thing, I help fintech startup companies. This one, fintech startup company. It's really clear about who you help, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you are not trying to help everyone. You're not trying to just get an IT security job. You're not trying to become the next IT auditor in a company. No, you have taken the time and decided, hey, this is my audience. I'm going to understand their problems and I'm going to offer a solution so that they will get the biggest benefits. So for example, fix their IT security issues. Many times when we see in job adverts, when we see people posting jobs on LinkedIn, online, they always talk about, hey, we want someone who can do this. But that's not really enough, right? Because at the end of the day, you just need more data. You just need more clarity if you want to help them. So that's why that's the least effective method of finding your next opportunity. Many times it doesn't work. I mean, there are many other reasons why it doesn't work as well, but so, fix their IT security issues. But when we take a second look, believe it or not, that part is still not good enough. They are still not interested in that part. So for example, as like a manager or founder or a CEO of company, they might say, hey, we need an InfoSec professional who can do this. Okay, fix IT security issues. But if you build your communication on top of this, it's not going to work, because it's just like being a commodity in a way. What you want to do is to focus on the outcome, the real result, the problem, solution, and the real result. And in this case, the real result is they want to grow without thinking about InfoSec risks. They just want to be compliant with all the non-ending regulations, privacy regulations, IT security regulations, depending on the industry, so that they can focus on growth. That's what they want. And when you start talking their language, and when you start talking about what do they really need, maybe that's your current employer, maybe that's your manager, director, it really doesn't matter. That's the outcome that they're looking for. So that's why they are interested in this, not how you do things, not the kind of technical things that you do. People are interested in the outcome. Okay, so this is like an example. Please feel free to use this syntax. And I mean, you can use this in your, for example, on your LinkedIn page. You can use this on top of your CV, for example. But it really helps. It really helps. And we will get back to this. We'll get back to what not to focus, what not to say in such communications. Okay. Are we cool so far? I mean, if you have a question so far, you can just type in the chat box, so that by the end of the presentation, I'll come back and then we can discuss this more. A quick tip, another question that we had in the webinar description introduction. 1 out of 5 cybersecurity professionals on average joins the industry with no technical background. How is that possible? So you might be thinking, hey, I don't have that IT background. For example, if you're interested in InfoSec careers, cybersecurity careers, but don't know how to get started, and it looks like 1 out of 5 cybersecurity professionals make this happen. Like, this is their reality. And how is that possible? First of all, let's just take a look at the numbers, okay? So this is from a website called CyberSeek. You might want to write that down. CyberSeek. It's a US-based. It's a really good kind of summary so that you can see all the paths, you can see all the InfoSec career options there. And according to the data that they have, deep technical expertise, not a prerequisite. For example, 25% of the workforce have non-CIS degrees, meaning non-computer science degrees, and 1 in 5 moved into cybersecurity from a different sector. Okay, could be military defense, communications, engineering, finance, marketing, you name it, sales, legal, human resources. There is a misunderstanding, misconception about this, like, hey, you just need to know everything about this. Without this, you cannot make this happen, whatever. But when we come back to the question, like, how do they do this? Like, how 1 out of 5 professionals, maybe it's you, maybe you are watching this webinar right now and you are one of those successful professionals. It's awesome. The reason is, when we turn back to the first and second point, like, what is the outcome that you provide and what is the problem that you're solving, then it really makes a lot more sense. Because let's just take a look at what is cybersecurity and what are the elements in cybersecurity so that we can infosec as well. People, process, technology, PPT, you can remember like this, okay? There are 3 pillars: people, process, technology. So for example, on the people, communication, analytical skills, dependability, teamwork, leadership, self-starter. On the process, like process management systems, project management, governance frameworks, audit processes, risk assessment. And the technical, obviously, like secure coding, maintenance, networking, system administration, secure communication, all of it. InfoSec is a combination of these 3 elements. Depending on your role, depending on your job, depending on what you do, obviously, you might have a different focus area. You might have a different focus group. Maybe what you do is like 80% process related, 10% people, maybe 10% technical. And you are coming from a, let's say, business administration background, which is perfectly fine. Why? Because most of the skills that you already have, you had from your previous background, you have experience with, even if that's not InfoSec, that's not cyber, that's still valid. That's still possible for you. So that's why, as long as you dial in the problem that you solve and how you are going to solve it and who you are going to solve it for, you are like golden. Okay, that's that really helps. So that's why this is how people actually make this transition. Okay. Why don't we go ahead? Why don't we take a look at the next next shift? Let me see if you have any questions. We'll get back to the questions anyway. I have a question regarding color Linux, for example, but I will get back to that field just a second. So the third shift, less is more. Less is more. I know that's like, you know, people use this all the time. People even have the t-shirts like this, but it really works. So let's take a look at how that works for you and for your InfoSec career. Just as we have discussed, if you don't have 100% clarity on your goals, your expectations, your outcome, many times you'll find yourself wasting your time, money, and energy. We see this all the time. I kind of remember one of my friends and students, clients, I guess 1-2 years ago. He was a sales professional, okay, related to an IT industry, IT company. He wanted to make this shift to cybersecurity so that he can become a cybersecurity professional. And what he told me before we started working, he talked to different people in the industry, maybe, I don't know, maybe if he talked to different recruiters or different people, but many times when he starts talking about like, I want to become a cybersecurity professional, people start throwing in different ideas, different tools, different certifications. Hey, you just need to get like, I don't know, CH, or you just need to study ethical hacking, like OSCP, maybe if you want to go down that route, or you just need to get this. But when we had a discussion, like, hey, what do you want to do? Like, what is the outcome that you want to provide? And he was like, I just want to be a part of this industry, and I really don't care if I use my new like technical skills that I can get, or I can use my current skills, which is much more favorable, obviously, because it's way easier that way. And I was like, okay, you already are a sales professional. Why don't you continue? Why don't you focus on that and become a cybersecurity professional? So why don't you become a, let's say, InfoSec business developer, cybersecurity business developer? You already know your trade. You just need to apply your skills with a different mindset, with a little bit of training to a different field. And fast forward 3-4 months, instead of studying for different ethical hacking, whatever, he started working as a cybersecurity business developer, 50% salary increase, just living his dreams. As long as you know what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, then it's way easier for you to make that transition. So that's why less is more. So a couple of questions. What is the easiest, fastest way to get there? It is not obviously wasting your time, energy, money on useless materials, courses, companies, roles, industries. Many times we see people like, hey, to become a cybersecurity professional, you just need to read 10 different ebooks, 1,000 page long. If you want to become an IT auditor, you just need to do this. But when we step back, when we really dial in the problem that we want to solve, the company that we want to solve it for, it's way, way easier for you, and then you will have better results. And let's just take a look at a quote from Steve Jobs. I think it's really relevant, and you can apply the same principle for your career too. People think focus means saying no to the thing you have got to focus on, but that's not what it means at all. It means saying no to the 100 other good ideas that there are. And we see this all the time. I think Apple right now is the most valuable company, right? More than $2 trillion, I think. But when you look at their portfolio, when you look at their products, it's just handful. Like they have their, iWatch, iPhone, iMac, MacBook Pro, just to name a few, but probably under 10 different products. But they are the most valuable company. And it's just based on this. It's more than identifying what you want to do. It's more about what you don't want to do. So for example, you want to become, let's say, a risk manager. What about the industry? Do you want to work in like fintech, health tech, consumer services, retail? Like, what is your industry? And then what kind of companies do you want to work at? Obviously, they have different priorities. They have different systems. They need different things. What do you want to accomplish? Like, where do you want to be? And then you can easily pinpoint what you want to accomplish, what you want to do. And it's way easier that way, because instead of trying to learn everything, instead of trying to be everything for everyone, you just say, hey, I'm just interested in this. This is what I want. And it gives you a lot of power when you start talking to potential recruiters, when you start talking to potential hiring managers, even your current boss, your director, your manager, because you are really focused at that point. You are really focused on what you want to do, what you want to accomplish. Does it make sense? So it's just like this. So that's why saying no and less is more is very, very important for your InfoSec career and to create a better impact. Another tip, skills, experience, or something else, excuse me, where you should focus to create the highest impact on your cybersecurity career, like what you should do. Is it skills, like you need to get more skills, more certifications, you just need to get more experience, or maybe something else? To me, the answer to that question is focus on the problem you solve. Understand and talk about your audience's problem better than anyone else, better than anybody else. Just know the problem in detail. Discover that problem, pinpoint that problem, talk about that problem all day, every day, especially when it comes to like interview stage, when it comes to finding your next opportunity, then it works really well. Even if you don't have the skills or experience, when you truly understand someone, when you truly understand their problem, because at the end of the day, you might think, hey, it's just business, like billion-dollar company, like big companies, like big 4 companies, telco companies. But guess what? You're not talking to the CEO or the stakeholders. You're just talking to the director, manager, your hiring manager. And obviously, they have certain problems. Otherwise, they wouldn't be hiring and looking for someone new, right? What is that problem? And how can you understand that problem better? when you do this, even if you're just getting started in this business, even if you don't have a lot of experience, you don't have 1 to 2 years of experience, because it seems like everybody's looking for those experiences when it comes to like job advertisement, you will get your unfair advantage when you truly understand the problem that you're solving. Okay, and let me give you an example, just make it kind of clear for you. So this kind of different example, but I think it explained this really well. So for example, let's just say, let's just say that your arm hurts really bad. Your arm hurts, and it's the weirdest pain you have ever felt. It starts from your hand, it shoots up to your shoulder, stays there for 5 seconds, and then shoots back to your hand. It's like the weirdest thing that you have ever felt. And you visit different doctors, and they're kind of running tests, and they're trying to figure out what's wrong with you. And let's just say you are talking to your friends, you are talking to your colleagues. Let's just say in a coffee shop. Okay, just talking about this. Hey, I had the weirdest pain, and then out of the blue, someone, okay, from the street that you don't know, or maybe a homeless person, okay, approaches you. I mean, when you look at the person, you don't feel like you can get any advice from him, right? I mean, when you look at it, it doesn't make sense. But if he approaches you and then says, "Hey, do you have a problem with your arm? Does your arm hurt?" And then is that starting from your hand and then shooting up to your shoulder and then shoots back to your hand again? Is that the thing? Is that what you're talking about? And you probably go, yes, what do I do about it? Like, that's my problem. Just tell me something. At that point, you don't really care about the person, about his background, his skills, his medical degree. Why? Because he understands the problem really well, so he must know the answer. Subconsciously, we think that way. Okay, that's the magic. That's the power of identifying the problem that you solve. And when you do this in your career, when you truly understand what the problem might be. So, for example, maybe your director, he needs, let's say, an audit. Okay, he needs an audit to test, let's say, I don't know, cloud-based systems to make sure that they are secure. Well, when you look at the problem, you might think that is the problem, but in reality, there is something else behind the scenes. Maybe the company is going through maybe a merger and acquisition, and that's why they're just trying to make sure that all the services in cloud services, they are like safe, secure, so that the company can get additional 5-10% bonus, like in terms of valuation. That's a big problem, and that's a very meaningful solution. If you help them accomplish that, achieve that, always the company will be much more valuable, and that's what that director, that manager is interested in. It's not the technical details of audit. That's the outcome, right? The end result is the outcome. So as a result, you can always think about the outcome that you want to accomplish and the specific problem that you're solving in every instance, in every project that you do, in every step of the way. Just focus on the problems. Thanks a lot for the notes. I see Bart shared the note as well. I will come back to that after the presentation. And now let's move on. This is the first step, final 2 steps, and never settle for less. So what do we mean by this? Let's just take a look at this. Never settle for less. That means accept nothing less than what you deserve. Because at the end of the day, just as we have discussed, this business has people, process, technology elements in it. At the end of the day, I think most of you already have a lot of experience in different fields, maybe in InfoSec, maybe in cybersecurity, in maybe different titles. At the end of the day, cybersecurity InfoSec domain has more than 200 different job titles, believe it or not, according to the CyberSec. So probably you have something already, maybe an education, skills, experience, certifications, something. You can use everything that you have, okay? So it's pointless to pigeonhole yourself and then think about, hey, I only have this, would that work? No, you can focus on this and then look from a kind of a higher perspective, like a bird's eye view, and then say, hey, you know what? I actually deserve much better opportunities because I have experience in similar areas. So for example, for my friend, as I mentioned, he had a lot of sales experience. And when he wanted to start a cybersecurity business developer position, at the end of the day, it was like, hey, I already know the basics. In fact, I'm a kind of an expert in this. I just need to know and learn a couple of different elements in InfoSec and then apply my new skills, new abilities. Because as we discussed, technology, process, and people elements, and your worth is based on your understanding on the problems. That's the first thing. The solution comes with it, and then your skills, your experience you have from your current and your previous roles. And you can always adapt your abilities, as we call it, adaptable abilities and aptitudes. So that is the thing. Be it networking, software development, systems analysis, engineering, finance, and many times we get questions like, I don't have a lot of software development experience. Can I become a part of the cybersecurity field? Well, most of the jobs, they don't require cybersecurity experience. I mean, I don't see myself as a software programmer. I didn't do any, maybe. Back in the day, some scripting, maybe just to support my pen testing experience. But still, it's not just software development. As soon as you understand the problem that you solve, you can easily pinpoint how you're going to solve it as well, and then be a very valuable individual. And if you can combine this with your previous experience, with your dedication, passion, commitment, curiosity, then that's more than enough. That's more than enough. And that's why this slide is really important as well. The difference between what you say and how you say it. So for example, in your communication, let's say somebody approached you and then asked like, hey, what is the definition of cybersecurity? Well, I mean, you can look it up on the dictionary, and then you can maybe look at different international or maybe state level, country level descriptions of this. And when I was working at NATO in this Cooperative Cyber Defense Center of Excellence, we had this different project, like, hey, different nations and how do they see the cybersecurity? Like, what are the cybersecurity strategies that they have? And believe it or not, each nation has a different understanding of cybersecurity. Meaning, if you try to remember the exact definition, whatever that might be, and try to kind of memorize it, it's not really powerful. But if you have your own definition of something on something, and if you confidently talk about it in interviews, in discussions, then that's more than enough. That's much, much more valuable. So that's why how you say is way more important than what you say, okay? Because at the end of the day, A players do this. It gives you a lot of advantage, distinct advantage when you do this. Because you're like the subject matter expert, because you're coming up with your own definitions and talk about it in a very confident way, right? It makes a lot of sense. And the second thing is there are 3 keywords, starting with letter C, of highly effective communication. Let's take a look at that. I mean, especially if you're kind of struggling with your, let's say, communication, delivering your value, if you feel like nobody's kind of listening to you in interviews or maybe in meetings, maybe you can approach this and then you will see better results. They are caring, curiosity, and concern. Instead of talking about how wonderful you are and how wonderful your approach is and all the details of whatever the audit list or the project with ethical hacking or whatever that might be, instead of talking about that, if you start talking about caring, hey, I care about you, what is the problem? Okay, so for example, let's just say we're in a meeting and your colleagues, they have problem, and then instead of talking about what needs to be done, like this is like the management's view, we just need to do this, whatever. If you see yourself, feel yourself in their shoes, and then with empathy, ask questions like, hey, what is the problem? If you care about them, that's the very first step that you can do. It works really well. And then they open up. And then curiosity, you ask more questions like, hey, but why do you need this? What happens if you don't fix this problem? Why is it urgent? For example, many times everything is urgent, everything is like, we just need to get this done. But when you're curious about this, maybe they have different issues. Maybe they have personal issues that they need help with. So that's why maybe they're in a rush. Maybe they're having problems with their managers, if that's a kind of a maybe internal meeting. Maybe in an interview, if you start asking questions, and by the way, that's a big problem that many interviews, many job candidates make, unfortunately. They just ask nothing. At the end of the interview, they're like, hey, hiring manager asks, do you have any question for us, for my company, or for us? And they're like, hey, I don't have any questions, or, very basic questions. They lose the opportunity. Just with curiosity, ask really detailed questions. Now, what kind of an impact are you expecting from me? What is the most urgent and important thing? How do you see yourself? How do you see myself in the first 30 days, 60 days? What is the first task that you are going to give me? Those are curiosity related questions that you can use all the time in your communication. And it's really powerful by all means. And then concern is the final step. If you're concerned after the curiosity part, if you are like, wow, that sounds like a big problem, let me see how can I help you, okay, with a kind of empathy, like, I mean, that's a big problem. Even if you don't have to do it, if you send that additional email, if you just help them to complete that project at that time, if you just maybe work a couple of hours, I don't know, extra work, stay in the office, make sure that it's done. When you do this, it's not just the communication, it's not just that moment, but actually you will become friends with that person, trust me. Why? Because it's no longer a business thing for you. It's not like a business colleague relationship, because you truly care about them, and then you will get the results over and over again. I mean, when there's an opportunity, they will first come to you. Even if, I mean, let's say you're looking for a job and then you're talking to recruiters, they're busy, really busy dealing with filling jobs. They have different requirements, they have their own clients, companies and hiring managers. But when you're truly concerned about them, when you care about them, and if the opportunity says we need an ethical hacker, like a penetration tester, if you ask questions with caring, curiosity and concern, then you can truly understand their problem, and then the company's problem as well. And then you can build your communication on top of this. Does it make sense? It works way better than what people do like nowadays all the time. And the final shift, join a mastermind group. It's the final shift. I know the clock is ticking. Let's just get to this and let's just see what do we mean by this, join a mastermind group. I don't know if you ever read this book, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's an amazing book. It's an old book, like maybe 100 years old, but it's really powerful, especially if you're looking for the next edge, next kind of upgrade in your career, in your welfare, in your financial situation. This is like a must read. I strongly recommend this. In one of the chapters, he mentions the mastermind group and the importance of this. And the definition is something like this: a friendly alliance with one or more persons who will encourage one to follow through with both plan and purpose. Plan and purpose. It starts with your plan. Okay, what is the plan? Actually, the purpose, sorry. It starts with your purpose. The first shift that we discussed. Why do you want to do this? What is going to happen when you make this a reality? Okay, when you reach your financial goals, what does that mean really for you and for your family, for your loved ones, for example? And your plan. How are you going to get there? Step by step. When you form a mastermind group or when you join a mastermind group, it just works. It helps you a ton because the world is filled with negativity. When you go to random pages, random forums, LinkedIn groups, Facebook groups, when you talk to people, many times you see a lot of negativity. And what's even worse, you get conflicting advices, and we see this all the time. So for example, if you ask Google, like, hey, where is the nearest coffee shop? You will get a certain answer. Okay, it's analytical, it's for sure, it's granted. But when you ask questions like how to get started in cybersecurity, you will get a million different answers, right? Because everybody have different opinions. So that's why it's really important to create a mastermind group, especially if you want to upgrade your career, upgrade your life. If there's a burning problem that you want to solve right now, it's really important. And everyone should have a mentor as well. Many times when you join that mastermind group, if you have a mentor as well in that group, so that you can approach, you can ask questions, it saves a lot of time and energy. Otherwise, you just need to test it, whether it's working. You just need to make the same mistakes which other people have made already. What's the point? So that's why having a mentor, regardless of your current situation, regardless of your career life situation, is really, really important. Why? Why we all should have a mentor? I mean, I have my own mentors, I have my own mentees, but I see all the great people, all the very successful A-level people, they all have mentors, because you will have questions and problems to discuss with an expert, that's for sure. And you also need to stay motivated, especially if you're on something like, if you are on a challenging path. Let's say you don't have any InfoSec cybersecurity background, but you are trying to get your first job. That's a challenging task. I mean, we have employees here, they are like recent graduates from computer science department and even cybersecurity master's degrees. It's really hard for them, and I listen to their stories all the time. Like it's really hard for everyone. And it's the same, like, you know, when you get a job, when you want to kind of an upgrade, like, you know, maybe a promotion, it's still hard. So that's why getting that support is really important. And it brings two things: accountability, new and better ideas. Accountability first, new and better ideas second, so that you can get your results much faster, save a lot of time and energy and money as well. Every mind needs friendly contact with other minds for food and expansion of growth. Still, again, another quote from Napoleon Hill. And identify your goal, select a mastermind group or create one, and give your attention to it with positivity. That's also important. And that's the value I see, especially in groups like BCS. When Zuzan approached me and kind of had this email exchange, I was really pleased, because it opens up new opportunities for everyone. There are so many different groups, there are so many different opportunities, different organizations that you can sign up. Just be in that group. You will see amazing results over and over again. You will have your trustees, you will have a group of people that you can always approach, tell about your problems, get some advice. It really works. So if you don't have a mastermind group already, please find one and then join with positivity, especially if you are on the verge of, like, I don't know, a career upgrade, changing your job. Maybe your current situation is not working for whatever reason. If you have a burning problem to do something extraordinary, just do it. It really works. Okay, so we have now completed the shifts, and now let's talk about the final tips, and then we'll continue with QAs. 3 hidden questions every interviewer asks, even if you don't realize them. I mean, that's one of the mistakes that we see in the marketplace right now. Everybody's talking about their skills. Hey, I have the skill, I have the certification. I mean, hey, where's my opportunity, kind of thing. But here's the problem. If you approach this just with your skills, just with your experience, then you will just become a commodity. Apples and oranges. Let me give you an example. Let's say you have 2 years of experience, and then you have 2 certifications. Another candidate, you know, approaching the problem with the same method, same mindset, 2 years of experience and 3 different certifications. Sometimes, you know, 3 different certifications make a lot more sense if you approach the equation like this. But when you follow a different mindset, when you follow a different philosophy, obviously the identification of the problem, the solution, sorry, it's way easier to deliver your message and communication. Okay, and to get there, you just need to understand, realize, and then answer these hidden questions in your interviews, in your communication, especially if you are looking for a career upgrade. So let's just take a look at them. First question, believe it or not, this is, do I like you? Do I respect you? Do I trust you? You can come up with different variations, but at the end of the day, do I like you? Because people want to work with people whom they like. That's the bottom line. Especially if you're talking to hiring managers, especially if you are like in an interview that you'll work together, they're not just interested in your skills, because you will become colleagues. Obviously, they're looking at you, your background, they're looking for some common ideas, issues that you have, whether you have some commonalities or not. And it's related to this. Do I like you? Do I respect you? Do I trust you? Even if you have 10 years of experience, with all the skills, all the experience, if they don't trust you, they don't respect you in any way or shape or form, if they don't like you, it's not going to work. And when you look around, when you look for, high paying positions, when you look for really specific, really special roles, many times people don't get those roles just by applying and then talking about their skills. People use referrals, people use connections. This is the bottom line. This is the answer to that question. And the second one, do you want to do the job? Do you want to do the job? Like many times, for example, to me, like audits, I have this audit certifications on 27001, whatever. I have the background. I did this for a good number of years, but do I like it? Not anymore, which means even if I get the job, it's not going to work for the company. In fact, I experienced that a lot, and it's really awful. But when you communicate your message like this, do you really want to do the job? So for example, hey, I do this all the time. Even if I'm not being paid, I do this like for fun. And I do this all the time. And here's my kind of portfolio, etc. At that point, hiring managers, recruiters, they will respect you a ton. And they will see like, hey, this is the person that we're looking for. So we don't have to motivate them to do the job. He's already motivated. Doesn't make sense? So that's why do you want to do the job is really important. And the final question is, can you do the job? It's not like having all the skills. It's not like having the experience. It's just like, hey, do you have the commitment to do the job with your skills? Obviously, you just need to have the skills as well. But it's not like having 2 years of experience, 10 years of experience. At least at the minimum level, can you do the job? And then continue from there, because you will learn, you will upgrade, and then you will take more time to spend the company anyway. So approaching to final slides.
Sorry, we will have just a few more minutes. Just wanted to give you just the time.
Yeah. I'm just in the final for 3-4 slides. Actually, this is the final topic. What is the one magical keyword you can use in your professional communications to double your influence? So I've kind of waited for the kind of super secret tool, like a weapon for you. What is the one magical keyword that you can use? If you know the answer, you can type in the chat box, but let's just get to it. The answer to that question is because. It's really powerful. It's really powerful. And I'll give you an example for this. Behavioral scientist Alan Langer tested this idea. And this is from a book called Yes. Especially if you're interested in this, like Secrets of the Science of Persuasion Influence, I'd strongly recommend this book. This is the final version from Robert Cialdini. Sorry, the picture is a little bit, you cannot see maybe the name, but yes, 60 Secrets from the Science of Persuasion. Because is really important. When you use the term because at the end of any sentence, subconsciously, maybe because of our childhood years and months, the recipient automatically believes and then takes action. And actually, those scientists tested this. In one study, researchers arranged for a stranger to approach someone waiting in line to use a photocopier and simply ask, "Excuse me, I have 5 pages. May I use the Xerox machine? May I use the photocopier?" And according to the results, 60% agreed to allow the stranger to go ahead. Later, they gave their cue, like, hey, go ahead and take the copies. Same situation, different question. May I use the Xerox machine because I'm in a rush? Okay, the stranger, same situation, asked this question. 94% agreed to allow the stranger to go ahead. You might feel like, hey, because it makes sense because he's in a rush. So yeah, let me just give my turn. So maybe that's normal, you are thinking, but wait for this. Interesting question this time. May I use the Xerox machine because I have to make copies? The stranger asked this question. Obviously, at the end of the day, it's not a pencil sharpener. At the end of the day, he's going to take copies. But when he structured the sentence like this, check out the results. 93% agreed. Because many times people don't listen after what's happening, after what they say, after the term because. So you can come up with your own versions. Hey, we just need to finalize this audit because it's that time of the year. We just need to run this pen tests because yeah, whatever, you can come up with something. It doesn't have to be logical. But when you use this secret keyword, according to the scientific research, it works a lot and really well. Thanks for listening. So that's the final slide that I have. My name is Emin Kaliskan, once again on LinkedIn. This is my email address. If you want to send me an email, if you have a burning problem, if you just want to become friends or say hi, please do it. And add me as a connection on LinkedIn, because I want to be your connection on LinkedIn. So that's the end of my presentation. Maybe we can switch to QA part, or I don't know. I mean, what's next, Suzanne? I think we can continue with QA, maybe.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Emin. Perfect. Really enjoyed the presentation. I think we do have 3 questions which have been left
Okay.
over in the discussion. So I think
Mm-hmm.
for the people who would like to hear the questions, I think we can extend it for 5-10 minutes. If somebody would
Okay.
like to discuss with Emin directly, I'm happy also to switch on your microphone so you can have a dialogue. So please just put in your Q&A if you wanna be on the microphone or not. Otherwise, I will read out the question for you. The first
Okay.
one is Kali Linux, for example, a good set of the tools to help the learn? That was the question from Phil. He mentioned it in the middle of the presentation about the tools and what to use when you are having the 3 sets of the tools which you can bring from another work.
Exactly. So that's a nice question. That's probably one of the famous questions that we have, because in ethical hacking penetration testing, Kali Linux is the platform. That's for sure. So what is the outcome, Phil? At the end of the day, we just need to start from that question. What is the outcome that you want to accomplish? If you want to learn ethical hacking for like fun, yeah, just to test it, yeah, that's a good environment. Kali Linux, professional penetration testers also use that. But the problem with that is it has more than 1,000 tools the last time I checked. If you want to learn everything, like all the tools there, it will take a lot of time. And even worse than that, it's pointless, because you can just look it up when the time is right. You can just learn whatever you have to learn at the right time. But if you just want to have the kind of feeling of it, if you just want to test like, hey, this is like how it works in penetration testing, ethical hacking, I just want to kind of test it. Obviously, you can do it. But another problem is, how can you validate your learning journey? Yes, you can use it, but if your learning outcomes are not validated, how are you going to identify when you stop, when you start, when you stop, what to learn, what not to learn? So technically, yes, Kali Linux is a good environment, but I'm just kind of interested in, what's happening behind the scenes. I mean, you can ask as a follow-up question, maybe we can come back. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Emin. I think, Phil, if you would like to then discuss, we can leave it after, also on the dialogue. The next question is from Bharat Thakrar. Being very clear on focusing on the problem means that you are also very clear with the recruitment agent. She can help identify exactly the opportunity you are looking for, and they can present you are the most ideal candidate over all the others. So that was placed the question when you were discussing about you have to be clear what you can deliver, what you can give. So that was a follow-up.
And it's like, thanks a lot, Bharat. It's so nice to see you here as well. It's like, I mean, I had an experience like a couple of years ago before we started this business. I kind of followed the same principles and identified, okay, this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to do this. And then someone, a recruiter out of the blue, called me and told me about an opportunity. And I just told her, no, because this is what I'm looking for. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm really interested in this industry with these companies, and I do this. When you have an opportunity, just get back to me. And believe it or not, at that moment, the tone of her voice changed dramatically. And she was like, oh my God, thank you. Everyone is kind of talking about how they can do things, and they are the most kind of experienced, skilled individual. But we just end up with people who are not that committed, and they just take any job that is out there. And that's not a good communication. It's a long-term investment. When you do this, the opportunities will come, because guess what? When there's an opportunity in those companies at that role, for that role, then obviously at that point, that recruiter will come back to you. The same thing would happen. So that's a really nice point, Bharat. Thanks for bringing this up.
All right. The next question is from Georgi Ivanov. He said that if there is any age limit for the InfoSec professions.
Not at all. Not at all. So it's not
simple.
It's not like the age limit. Obviously, I'm not like, hey, like with all due respect, I'm let's say 85 years old and I'm really interested in ethical hacking. Well, I mean, you can potentially be a part of this industry, but not the way that you imagined, because cultural fit is also important. And there are many different elements to this. It's not just skills. Yes, you can be a part of it, but which specific problem can you solve and for which companies? Probably there are opportunities for you, regardless of your age, 50, 60, doesn't really matter, 22, it really doesn't matter, 18, because we see great examples all the time. But I mean, there are different elements to this question, but why not? I mean, it's not about age.
Thank you so much. And the last question, which we have from Gavin Johnson, if I have no experience in the technical pillar, is then an issue?
That becomes an issue if you focus on a technical role, which requires lots of technical experience. So it's a matter of, okay, for example, I want to become an ethical hacker, and I have no idea about how computers work. I have no idea about networking. I have no idea about system administration, no idea about Linux operating system, whatever. Obviously, at that point, it might become an issue. But if you focus on, let's say, privacy related role, okay, lots of data protection officer, you know, companies need more opportunities, more people like that. And even if you don't have a lot of technical skills, you can just have the basic IT understanding so that you don't freak out when you see a black terminal, and then you just kind of understand, okay, this is about this. Even if you don't have the technical details, you can get an opportunity simply because the problem that you solve is not relevant to that technical skill. Many times companies easily find the technical expertise that they need, technical skills that they need. Contracting, freelancing, it's endless. Lots of opportunities. But the idea is, what do you want to do? If you want to become a technical cybersecurity professional, if you want to focus on the technical thing, obviously you need to get the skills and prove them, and then probably with some freelance work, with some charity work, with some different maybe support work, you just need to have that little bit of kind of experience so that it shows your passion. Otherwise, it's too risky for hiring managers, in my opinion, to give you an opportunity.
And I would just maybe add on that, I mean, just
Sure.
my experience that often
Please.
hiring managers do hire for the for your drive, for your curiosity, or they see potential, because the technical skills can be learned. As Emin said, it can be Googled, or you know, you have YouTube, but nobody will ever tell you how to be curious, how to have logic, how to have critical thinking and stuff like that. So I would just encourage, definitely don't be put off just because it's technical. You can learn that.
Exactly. You can learn it. I mean, you can show your passion, show your commitment, and why do you want to do this? What is your why? At the same time, obviously approaching to the right hiring manager, the person who has the problem, the right way, approaching using the right method is key, because I know people with absolutely zero technical expertise got opportunities in technical roles. But how? Obviously, they use different methods. Like, for example, they have very strong connections, and they have people who can invest and take the risk for them. But if you don't have that, then obviously, I would say it's a bit challenging, but it's possible.
All right.
It's possible for sure.
Thank you so much. And we have just a follow-up on the
Okay.
Kali Linux, that he is thanking you, and that he needs to do some work on the experience and stuff like that.
I need to zero in on my specific goal, my current work experience. I hadn't thought about bringing it down this board, shot me. Thanks. Okay, Phil, great to hear that. I think that's the essence. It's way easier for you as well, because I'm really kind of sad when I see people like they are trying to collect all the certifications out there just to get the initial position. I think the better approach is like, just learn what you have to learn at this stage, get the opportunity, start getting paid, and then build the experience. I think that's a lot more fun.
Absolutely. And last question, because we are already overreaching a lot, is from Chico Maranga, and that asking, how do you narrow down on an audience and problem?
It's all about communication and research as well. So for example, many times, I mean, let me just give you kind of my personal experience. A couple of months ago, I posted a job on Indeed. We were looking for a business developer for our own company. I was looking for a business developer. And then hidden in the job description, I added, before applying to this job, just go to this link, visit this website, and then attend this, kind of watch this half-an-hour thing, and then mention this in your application. That's it. We received like 40 different applications, 40. And do you know how many of them mentioned this? 0, not just 1. Why? Because people don't actually read the job descriptions. People don't pay much attention to this. That's why what we need to do is just the opposite. You just need to do the research. You just need to identify your goal and then build your communication. Spend a lot of time on your networking. Networking with people. Spend a lot of time on your connections to really understand what's happening in the industry. There are lots of resources as well that you can socially engineer. You can take a look from their website, from what's happening in the industry. But many times you won't be able to learn the details. The only way to learn the details is through human elements, like talking to people. That's one thing. But obviously, it all starts with, is this the ideal role that you want? And along the way, you will also find it. So there's no easy answer to this, but through a system, through like a step-by-step method, it's possible, entirely possible.
And last one, we really have to finish. I'm sorry for pushing you guys. I know that you do have a lot of questions we could be asking. I mean, so many questions. And as you propose, please connect him on the LinkedIn.
Exactly.
He's very chatty, and I think he will enjoy that. Just pretty posted. Hello, I actually have recent InfoSec project manager experience, but still struggling to get a new role. Would you have any recommendations? Maybe just a few words of the hope in this situation, maybe to close it on the positive note?
Okay. The positive side is there are lots of opportunities. So please don't think and don't fall into the trap of, hey, we don't have a lot of opportunities. No, thousands of opportunities out there. And many times, well, it's not maybe a pleasant answer, but many times people need surgery. Like they need to upgrade their mindset. They need to change their perspective. They need to do certain things. It is possible. It might take some time, a couple of months, but that's the case. So it's not like a band-aid. Unfortunately, I don't have a kind of secret sauce to say, hey, just do this and then you will immediately get opportunities. But there's a but if you focus on connecting with people, if you focus on talking to people, understanding their problems, building your network, I think your chances would increase dramatically.
And on that note, thank you so much, Emin. It has been a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm stopping recording right now. If anybody would like to have some more chat with Emin, we will be here for 2-3 minutes or something like that. So thank you so much, Emin, on the behalf of the BCS IRMA, and also thanks everybody who attended. We enjoy having you today. Thank you.
Thanks, Suzanne. It was a pleasure.